Whether it's ram raids, gangs or armed offending, crime and its flow-on effects are top of mind for many Kiwis. Most have made it clear they feel uneasy about the lack of safety on our streets. So what are the main parties going to do to tackle crime? If elected, Labour's focus will be introducing a ram raid specific offence, more frontline police officers and a crackdown on gangs. This means if you carry out a ram raid, you could face up to 10 years behind bars, and kids as young as 12 could go through the youth court. You'll see more police on the beat over the next 4 years under Labour, 50 in the first year, 75 in each of the second and third years, and 100 in the fourth. The party says this would mean one officer for every 470 New Zealanders.
We know that having more police on the beat means our communities will be safer.
Gang leaders and their international links will also become the target of new legislation, and police will be given powers to seize vehicles in a gang convoy. National also has its sights set on police numbers and gangs. It would boost frontline officers, crack down on gangs, and toughen up sentencing rules. 300 frontline police would be added to the beat over 4 years, and the party would expand the use of mental health officers to respond to call-outs. As part of its gang crackdown, patches would be banned and gangs stopped from gathering in public. It'll also halt gang member access to guns and make gang membership an aggravating feature during sentencing.
Passing those measures through Parliament will be a priority for National and Government, and we'll introduce it in our first 100 days.
If you're being sentenced for a crime and you're aiming for a discount, National will make sure that's capped at 40%, regardless of how many mitigating factors there are. For the Greens, it's all about rehabilitation. The party would expand youth courts and support for youth, fund rehabilitation for all convicts, and provide more funding for legal aid and community law. If you're a youth offender, you'll likely end up moving through a new extended special youth court under the Greens, including Rangatahi and Pacifica courts with mental health and trauma support. Rehabilitation will be guaranteed if you're convicted of a crime. You'll have access to tikanga-based restorative justice solutions, which anyone can utilise. And accessing justice will be made easier, with the Greens expanding legal aid services by allocating more funds to community law centres and making applications for protection and parenting orders free of charge. ACT is focused on harsher penalties for offenders. It plans to increase the number of prison beds, introduce ankle bracelets for youth offenders, and make violence against workers an aggravating feature. It wants to house an extra 524 people behind bars every year, up to a total capacity increase of 2,094. If you're among the most serious of youth offenders, you could be fitted with an ankle bracelet for police monitoring. Offenders as young as 11 could be eligible.
If an offender is old enough to steal a car and drive it through a dairy, they're old enough to wear an ankle bracelet.
And if you commit a crime against a worker, you could find yourself slapped with a much harsher sentence. ACT would change the law to require judges to consider this an aggravating factor. New Zealand First is also focused on gang crime and protecting frontline staff. Among its biggest crime and justice policies are more frontline police, harsher sentences for violent crime against first responders, and designating gangs as terrorist entities. The party has committed to no less than 500 additional frontline police officers in the first 18 months in government. If you assault a first responder, including a police officer, paramedic, firefighter or corrections officer, you'll be slapped with an automatic 6-month minimum mandatory prison sentence. And if you're a gang member, you'll fall into the same category as a terrorist, with NZ First designating gangs as terrorist entities. Te Pāti Māori has made its priority the well-being of Māori in the justice system. It would establish a Māori Justice Authority, reallocate funding to the new authority, and require police officers to wear body cameras. The new Māori Justice Authority would be based on tikanga and self-governance, and the party would work with iwi, hapu and Māori wardens. Half of the funding from corrections, police and courts would be reallocated to the new authority. And requiring police to wear body cameras is exactly as it sounds, meaning every call-out will be recorded. So now that you've heard all of the main party's major crime and justice policies, it's time for you to decide.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.